The Israelis are frustrated and resigned. Frustrated because there's nothing they can do to influence the situation except give in to the hijackers, and resigned to doing just that.
The news comes as a massive relief for the hostages' families. But they, like the rest of the world, are being tricked by the Israeli government.
I have the highest respect for the feelings of the parents. But deep in my heart, I didn't have the slightest hesitation that it is either to release them by force or to lose them.
Idi Amin believes he's forced the Israelis to back down. In his own mind, he's negotiated a peaceful resolution which will earn him the respect of the world. He persuades the terrorists to extend the deadline to Sunday, 1 p.m., in 72 hours' time. Then, Israel's bluff pays off beyond their wildest dreams.
Those pro-Palestinian extremists who hijacked an Air France jet to Uganda released 100 hostages today before a deadline for death expired.
In a move that piles even more pressure on Israel, the terrorists release all of the non-Israeli hostages. But for Muki Betzer, it's a breakthrough. He knows the released hostages can provide the precise intelligence he needs.
That moment I was very emotional. I said, wow, they've made a great mistake.
The eyewitnesses rack their brains to summon every morsel of crucial intelligence. Betzer learns there are at least 6 terrorists. They work in shifts, with 2 off-duty in a first-class lounge at any one time. Each carries a machine gun. Some carry explosives. There is another crucial piece of information. Each night, at midnight, the hostages are ordered to lie down on straw mattresses, and by 1 a.m. most sleep. The pressure is on the counter-terrorist unit to come up with a rescue plan. Yoni Netanyahu returns from an exercise to take control. With Betzer and Air Force Squadron leader Josh Shani, they spend hours thrashing out the details of a rescue mission. It's called Operation Thunderbolt. It's one of the boldest, most audacious missions ever attempted. The plan has 3 critical stages. Each man plays a critical role. Stage 1, the journey. They must get a unit of commandos to Entebbe. This is the task of pilot Josh Shani. Shani will lead a convoy of 4 Hercules C-130 transporter planes on a 2,500-mile route to Uganda. Entebbe Airport consists of 2 terminals. The hostages are being held at the old terminal to the east. 2.4 kilometers to the west is the new terminal. The plan is for the 4 Hercules to use the cover of night to land undetected on this runway. Shani must land first. The other 3 Hercules will touch down 7 minutes later with backup and supplies. Shani has been warned that the runway lights will most likely be off. In other words, he must land virtually blind. This maneuver isn't in the handbook.
Now, can you imagine that if the terrorists will be alert, they can start shooting, they can kill everybody in 5 minutes?
Stage 2, the transfer. Once the lead Hercules lands, 30 commandos must get to the doors of the terminal in total secrecy. It's a 2-kilometer journey. Over 100 Ugandan soldiers stand guard on the tarmac, outside the terminal, and on the control tower. Muki Betzer comes up with an outrageous idea. They plan to get from the Hercules to the terminal by posing as a Ugandan military escort. Betzer recalls how Amin and his army chiefs are driven about in large black cars, pursued by military jeeps. Ugandan soldiers live in terror of Amin and his generals. When they see such an escort, they let it pass unchallenged. The Israelis are bringing a black Mercedes and 2 jeeps to Entebbe. Incredibly, they plan to drive them straight past the Ugandans all the way to the terminal. Stage 3. The assault. Yoni Netanyahu and a small force will take on the Ugandans outside on the tarmac. Meanwhile, teams of 3 will storm through the terminal doors, eliminate the terrorists, and free the hostages. Saturday breaks at Entebbe. It's the day before the deadline. For hostage Sarah Davidson, it's no longer a question of if she dies, but how.
For me, I just wanted it to be with no hurts. I didn't want to be wounded and not to get any pains anymore. Just finish my life as it is.
She doesn't know that a unit from the Israeli army is on its way. 23 hours to the deadline, an armada of 4 Hercules C-130 planes takes off from Israel. They are embarking on the 2,500-mile, 9.5-hour flight to Entebbe, Uganda. Operation Thunderbolt is underway.
I knew personally that my head is at stake. If it will fail, everybody will agree that I'm responsible. But if the soldier is risking his life, how about the leader? He should also risk his career. So I felt myself like a soldier.
The convoy must first make it all the way to Entebbe. It is a journey fraught with danger. The route down the Red Sea takes them within radar range of 3 countries who in 1976 are enemies of Israel: Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the Sudan. To avoid being picked up on radar, they must fly the entire length of the Red Sea, 900 miles, less than 100 feet above the surface of the water. The task weighs heavily on the 30-year-old shoulders of lead pilot Josh Shani.
I said, this is it now, this is it. To do it or to be written in the history as the greatest failure in Israeli Air Force, an Israeli military operation.
At Entebbe, an ambulance removes ailing 74-year-old Dora Block to a hospital in Kampala, 22 miles away. Her son Ilan is forced to remain behind.
I said I would like to go with her. But then the German woman shouted, "No, most certainly not, you idiot, what you," and so on. But I was very much worried about my beloved mother.
On the lead Hercules, Mookie Betzer has volunteered to take on the most dangerous role of the mission. Betzer will lead a team of 3 through door 3 into the main room where the hostages are held. To his men, Betzer exudes courage. In truth, he's tormented by a previous failure. 2 years earlier, Betzer played a part in a botched rescue mission in Ma'alot, northern Israel. When Palestinian gunmen took over a school, the Israelis launched an assault. The terrorists saw the Israelis coming and turned their weapons onto the hostages. 21 children were slaughtered. Betzer is desperate to make amends. Right on schedule, minutes before midnight, Shani prepares to touch down. He takes a deep breath. He must land 72 tons of hardware in the dark. As Shani makes his approach, he sees the runway.